Hoping that very soon. We can get this rectified. Let's take a break and we'll come back, Dominic, after this.
During the hurricane season, if you are evacuating, leave early so that you are not stranded by flooded roads, fallen trees, wires, and traffic jams, and make sure you have enough fuel in your vehicle and follow routes and highways. A message from 295 FM Radio.
Cause I'm on my way. KFC delivery is here. Just place your order at www.kfcdominica.com, Facebook or WhatsApp at 614-2633 and your order will be delivered to you. KFC, it's good. Cause I'm on my way.
It's officially white potato season in Dominica. To celebrate, Bloombox is giving you the chance to win a 196cc 4-stroke 6.5 horsepower tiller valued at over $3,000. Wow! You heard right. Simply make a purchase of $75 or more between October 13th and December 27th, 2025, and you'll be automatically entered for a chance to win this powerhouse machine to make your next planting season even easier. Winner will be announced on December 29th. Visit us at Bloombox Goodwill and Rosal. Terms and conditions apply. Let's bloom together with Bloombox.
All you, I just meet Goldwyn in Roseau again. Same place outside Flossie's. I tried to dock in, but you had time see me. Where? Story start again. Million, Lotama Pavel with us, huh? Fella, I said the same thing you doing, shopping at Flossie's, and you don't have to tell me the same thing you tell me last time because I busy. It's to hear him way. You reckon? About my pocket, boy. I won't tell you that I save money in food and drinks when I buy quantity. I save more. Oh, shucks, man. Well, when you're still telling me, I know already. Tu paga respect him, eh? But it can even pepper palais. I will tell all my friends from London, US and Dominica to come to Flossie's, right next to the Rosa Market. Open Sunday to Saturday. Flossie's can't do it to you.
When you want the what you do? Shop at SCA. Better than the rest. Go shop at SCA. And they open when I say shop at SCA. You get more for life today. Shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Yeah, shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Yes, family, customer friendly. With free locations, it's so convenient. And our price is there. Madam, that's where you belong. Oh, tell your mama, tell your papa, shop at SCA. Tell your son and your daughter, shop at SCA. Auntie, nan, and cousin, friend, open power, all of them. Grandma, grandpa, open neighbor, girlfriend, boyfriend, side. Shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Check us out at Pottersville, High Street, and downtown Roses.
I wanna drink Dominica best rum with you. I wanna drink Dominica best rum with you. Get the bottle, drink it every day. Give me energy, no rice pepper way. Get the bottle, drink it every day. Give me energy. Time today we wait. Okay, my bottle. My knee, full ready, full energy. My body, my knee, full ready, full energy. Okay, boom. Distributed by Belfast Estate Limited. Drink it, but don't abuse it. Okay, boom.
The time complements Milo's services is 1:18. The best shipping and packing rates of your D containers, E containers, pallets, and more to the islands. Contact Milo Services, WhatsApp 235-8342 or 767-235-8342. Milo Services. We're coming back.
We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. We're out of stock. Supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meats prepared daily. Hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh your one stop. Fresh market,
The pleasure is mine in the afternoon, as always. Locked into the talk on the block. The excitement programming continues on Q95. And already we're here to talk about the Global View on Q. Big show coming up tomorrow night. Mr. Sheridan Gregoire is the host. Mr. G, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Matt. How are you doing?
I'm here taking it one day at a time.
Okay, very good.
Another big program scheduled for tomorrow night.
Yes, we are scheduled for tomorrow night as usual. It is our 43rd Global View on Q show for 2025. And we continue to engage with our local, regional, and global Q family listeners and friends of Dominica at home and abroad. My co-host is Justice Dr. Irving Andre. Our guest tonight is businessman and pharmacist Andy Jolly. Tonight we ask, has the absence of long-term people-centered goals, integrated plans, and implementation of economic strategies in Dominica over the past 25 years been replaced by a plan of personal enrichment, which has led to missed opportunities in agriculture, in agribusiness, in manufacturing, in tourism, in foreign relations, in modern healthcare, and state-of-the-art education in preparation for this era of knowledge industries. So here are some issues and questions we want to deal with tonight. Dictatorship and development. Are these two concepts mutually exclusive? Has development in Dominica been stultified by dictatorship? Have the fruits of money laundering destroyed Dominica's development? Has industry been destroyed by the vanity of our leaders? Has government ownership of services such as Domlec reduced the cost of electricity in Dominica? Will foreign management of geothermal energy result in lower energy costs in Dominica? Has a plan of personal enrichment replaced an integrated plan for development in Dominica? What have been Dominica's long-term goals over the past 25 years? Does Dominica have any long-term integrated goals and plans? Are there implementation strategies to achieve such goals and plans? And if any, are the implementers of such strategies knowledgeable, trained, and competent in the necessary fields? Or are these decisions being taken via on a whim as we go along? So what is the winning strategy in terms of external countries? And what is the financial strategy to assist local entrepreneurs in undertaking their projects and in sustaining new investments? And then how is construction of major infrastructure projects like the planned planned links to planned economic growth and progress? As I always say, thinking forward towards 2028, or to Dominica's 50th anniversary of independence, what are the people's expectations for their well-being? Are they satisfied in their current conditions and lack of economic and social progress? So we look forward to the suggestions of our panel, or listeners, or callers and viewers on Facebook or YouTube on this topic. Have the absence of long-term people-centered goals, integrated plans, and implementation of economic strategies in Dominica over the past 25 years been replaced by a plan of personal enrichment, which has led to missed opportunities in agriculture, agribusiness, manufacturing, tourism, foreign relations, modern healthcare, and state-of-the-art education in preparation for this era of knowledge industries? And what needs to be done to move beyond these 25 years of economic stagnation and oppression and away from dictatorship ahead of our 50th anniversary of independence? So Justice Dr. Irving Andre and businessman and pharmacist Andy Jolly will share their ideas on this topic. So let's talk tomorrow, Tuesday night, from 8 p.m. on the Global View on Q.
All right, Mr. G, thank you very much. Looking forward to tomorrow, 43rd program of Global View on Q. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask a general question here. Based on an interview I did this morning with Mr. Alan Chasney out of St. Lucia, in light of an election being called on December 1, a snap election. I want an honest answer. And then again, I'll repeat an interview I did with Mr. Alan Chasney this morning. With the elections in St. Lucia. Are you satisfied that the opposition in Dominica is ready for an election if one is to be called today? Let me see if I can get some honest answers. Somebody's asking me when I'll bring Mr. Paris. I've asked him, he said when he's ready, he'll give me a call. So he was supposed to be here last week, Monday. He hasn't given me a call just yet. I just told him last week whenever he's ready. So I've been asking, okay? $129, Mr. Paris again. Yes, some people want to hear you there, so feel free to give me a call. Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. What's happening to you?
How you doing, my brother? How are you?
I'm very well. But Matt, you have a problem, Matt. But Matt, no election cannot call until the reconfirmation process finished. No election cannot call in Dominica until the reconfirmation process is over.
But I've been having a lot of interviews. I've been having a lot of discussions with persons, and unfortunately, what I'm hearing there from on the ground, I don't know about your part of the country, which is Marigot Soul Post. A lot of people are saying they're not interested.
Matt, the people are saying they're not interested because of certain reasons. The productivity of the United Workers Party, the present ruler and the leadership of the United Workers Party. We haven't seen a leadership in such a atrocious manner. So apparently the people are disgruntled. But
so why blame the leadership when the people themselves are not ready?
The people are ready, just that the leadership of the party is not performing as the leadership of the past leaders performed before. So we're having a disgruntledness among the people because what they are accustomed of having meetings here and there, they are not having any meetings. So apparently that is what they are going through. But actually, the United Workers Party is going to have a delegate conference on the 13th of next month, apparently, and then everything will be okay. We will be selecting persons who are quite capable and qualified for leading the party and bringing back the United Workers Party on the run that it used to have. So the people have a whole year to boost up themselves.
So what about as we see there in St. Lucia? We see there in St. Lucia that Mr. Skerritt might call an election anytime. He has the constitutional right to.
Matt, the people must vote with a voter's ID card, and the people are now in the...
No, but he has a constitutional right. You've heard that many times, Solpos. You have heard it many times. You can call the election anytime.
The Prime Minister has an atrocious attitude of calling elections based on the old electoral and the old election.
So that's my point too. He can call it anytime. He doesn't have to wait until that process is over.
Call it anytime, Matt. How can I go and vote if I do not reconfirm? I must have a voter's ID. That is the law.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying yes, we have heard about the electoral reform, we have heard about everything else. But I'm telling you, the Prime Minister has a right to call. I've asked him that question many times. He has never given me a straight answer. He can call the election anytime.
Matt, Daniel, the Prime Minister has a right, but the Electoral Commission will not allow the Prime Minister, not after the law that passed, to call...
Well, you're still not understanding my reasoning, Soul Post. You still don't understand. I'm telling you, it doesn't really matter if electoral reform is in place. He can call the election anytime. He has the constitutional right to do so.
So we're going to vote. And how are we going to vote?
That would be that would be your choice.
No, you cannot vote without voter's ID because that was the law that passed, man. And the Prime Minister cannot call no election until the confirmation process is.
Well, you disagree. What I'm telling you, what the Constitution says. All right, that'd be very bad on his part, but he can call the election if he wants to. Hello, talk to me, yes.
Yeah, good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Matt.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes I don't understand a few people in Dominica, Now, when they say the party are not ready, I mean, the United Workers Party executive is not the complete opposition. The opposition is the people in the country, the people that disagree with what the government is doing, and the hardship the government is putting on them. On the country. Now, some people like this gentleman just say that the leader is not ready or not doing the right thing. The leader cannot do everything. The people has to help the leader. The people are the ones who are feeling it and seeing the things going around the country. That has to come together to get rid of the government that is putting the pressure on them and making the country poor, making the people in the country poor. No leader cannot please everybody. And if you're looking for a particular person to lead, they may give you X, but the other one will give you Y. I mean...
I think it's a lot of people want to blame the leadership. The people are the ones who decide. The people.
Of course. And Thompson Fontaine has his his goods, and he's not 100%. Just as in my opinion, I think Lennox would be the best prime minister Dominica has ever seen. But he has his faults. And what are you looking at? Are you looking at the leader, or are you looking at the messenger, or are you looking at the things you're bringing to the country? And I think Thompson Fontaine is the right person, to lead the country at this moment, because I don't think this country can support anymore, because we are down rock bottom. The people have to come together and forget this gruntleness, this leader is not right and whatnot, and get rid. Until you get rid of this government and this leader that are killing the country and the people, nothing is going to happen in Dominica. So this business of the leader is not right and the youth belief is not right, it's absolute and total no, because everybody, 90% of the people will tell you the best time for the past 20, 25 years was when United Workers' Party was in power. When United Workers' Party was the government. And until you bring that back, right, we'll continue to go down and go down and go down. So this business of Thompson Fontaine is not right and UW is not right. That's not what it is. Everybody come together, and the answer is to get rid of this government, and then we start to look forward to build the country back. Because 25 years, even though you're doing right, even though you're doing the correct thing, 25 is too long for any man or any party to be in power. You have to change, because they become dictators. They think, well, they cannot lose, and they start doing what they want to do, and they start losing ideas. And this government didn't have any idea in the first place, So, the answer is to get rid of them, man. Anyway, thank you.
The question still remains, huh? Caller, are you the caller? I suspect not. Let's see if we can engage this caller there for a little while. No, everybody's trying to give their piece on that one. 1:37 is the afternoon time. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Mother, especially this is a brain, man. Your task is very hard in terms of the education, man. Your task,
some people don't really understand what's going on, brain.
You know very well what's going on. You like a gombolala. You pretend as if you don't know, but you know very well, and you've been articulating it. You know from the utterances I've been hearing that there's a position taken by the opposition of a position of not uniting. That is, they want someone Lennox Clinton, someone Thompson Fontaine, and they talk of Joshua Francis. You know that, brother. What are you making all that fuss about? Are you there?
Repeat the question, Brad. What is what?
I said you put a question. What is the unity among the players? You know that. Paris looking for it. Also, Lennox wants a return. Thompson Fontaine is there, and there are snakes in the Balizé. You know that, Brad.
So you basically saying they are fighting, Brad? They are fighting?
Let me hear you before I leave.
No, you're saying that they are fighting? That's your point?
There's internal fighting.
But Brad, the question to you is, do you think that if there's a unity among the forces, really opposition party, they could oust the Labour Party?
Hypothetical question, Mark. You train me, hypothetical question. So I will not respond to you. They must first get their act together, which they are not doing. I will just wait to see what happens. And you're bloody well right, Mark. They are divided.
But Brent, all I'll say is, I'm going to be up there. The prime minister has a right to call the election. Doesn't really matter. He can run at the old list. You know, basically.
And you're very right. Under the Constitution of Dominica, the Prime Minister has the right to call the elections anytime. That's the Constitution.
Anytime.
The Constitution has not changed. You know very well.
Some people don't understand that. 4493095. I'm asking that question over and over again. And he's never answered truthfully. Or he has been economical with the truth. I'm trying to educate some persons just won't listen. It would be unfortunate. I would say that it would be unfortunate if an election is called without reform. But he has the constitutional right to do so. He can do it during the confirmation process. And use the previous list. The Constitution gives him the right to do so. Hello, talk to me. Would you be surprised?
Matt, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Some people are making out that they don't know Kerry. Kerry can call election anytime, not because he's right, but because he makes laws and breaks laws. He does anything. I wouldn't be surprised. Thank you.
Well, the trend that's going on there, election in St. Vincent, election in St. Lucia. You heard the opposition leader this morning. I'll play that interview again for you sometime later. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Yes, Matt. Good afternoon to you and your listeners.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, Matt, I am a person who is very flexible. I can change or I can delete change very, very easy. You know, and unfortunately, everybody cannot be like me to accept change very quickly. Matt, Mr. Lennox Clinton had his style of politicking. Okay? He had his style. Edison James had his style. Ron Green had his style. Earl William had his style. So Thompson Fountain had his style. Dr. Thompson Fountain has his style. This is why people are saying he's not doing anything or the opposition is not ready, you know. He's working on the ground. He's not only here every day and talking like everybody maybe would want to hear. He's on the ground working. So people just need to understand that part of it. If you can understand that part of it, you'll understand what is happening. Then yes, Matt, I will say on this one, yes, the Prime Minister can call the election anytime, yes, using the old list. So we just have to watch to see what is happening. Okay? Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. On the telephone, hello, talk to me, 142 or 6 seconds. Are you there? Yes?
Mr. Massad, good afternoon.
How are you, sir? Yes.
I'm there taking my blows as usual. Listen, Matt, I heard you making a statement about the Prime Minister having the right to call an election anytime. But my layman understanding of the Constitution, and I would advise that you consult with an attorney at law, saying that you have so popular on the radio station, your program, in making that statement. My layman understanding of the Constitution.
Well, you never heard me asking a lawyer that question?
Yeah, well, no, I haven't. But
well, I'm sorry. I've asked that question before. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, maybe you can find the clip and replay.
Mm-hmm.
My layman understanding is this: the Prime Minister advises
the President
mm-hmm. to issue a writ for elections. The President does not have the right to accept, or he or she is not obligated to agree to what the Prime Minister advises. And as my layman understanding as well, no court can ask the President why she did not accept. Furthermore, when he advises the President is obligated to consult with the Electoral Commission to find out whether they are ready to manage and conduct an election in Dominica. This is my layman understanding.
But let me ask you a direct question. Given what you know exists in Dominica, do you expect that the Prime Minister advises the President to act in terms of an election date? And do you expect her now to say no?
I can see where you're going. I'm quite aware of that. She most likely will agree. But I'm saying that if she does, and there's reason to challenge her and the Electoral Commission, then the court is open to do that. Because if the electoral reform laws provide for 1 year, minimum 1 year for confirmation, right, of persons on the old list. The law also provides for when you go to vote, you have to provide an voter ID card. If you don't have one, you have to give reasons why you don't have one, whether it is if you lose it, etc., etc. And there's a form, I think, provided that you can fill out that. But if that year have not passed, my layman understanding suggests that, again, I think layman understanding suggests that this this issue of a writ approval can be challenged in court and challenged successfully because the law provides for 1 year. And yes, you have the constitutional right to ask the president to do X, Y, Z with respect to election. The president is not obligated to do so. In doing so, the president must consult with the Electoral Commission. And if the Electoral Commission have not observed what is provided in law, for them to have 1 year of that process, because the law recognizes that you might not even complete it in 1 year. So therefore, we can even extend it to.
You know how many times I've asked Mr. Skerritt if he'll call an election before this reform process is over? He has never answered the question.
I did so myself. I did so personally.
Thank you.
When the electoral reform group had their gathering at the
State House
Center, at the SS Center, which was hijacked by the Labour Party. Right? I posed the question. They have answered the question. So you're right. So this is why I'm making those observations. I'm not an attorney at law. I'm just saying my layman understanding of the law. And I would suggest that put those issues before a lawyer and hear how they respond. Thank you, man.
All right. I'll ask a lawyer this afternoon. There 449-309-596 and 97. We're going to take a break, Dominica. Very interesting conversation there. I'm just asking the question, do you expect the president to say otherwise? 146. I mean, we're not dumb in Dominica, are we? No, we don't.
Shop at SCA, better than the rest. Shop at SCA, and the husband will shop at SCA. You get more for what is there. Shop at SCA, shop at SCA, yeah. Shop at SCA, shop at SCA. What is there? Shop at SCA. Yes, family, customer friendly, with free locations, it's so convenient, and our price is there. Madam, that's where you belong. Oh, tell your mama, tell your papa, shop at SCA. Tell your son and your daughter, shop at SCA. And the men and cousin friend, open power, all of them. Grandma, grandpa, couple, neighbor, girlfriend, boyfriend, side. What? Shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Shop at SCA. Check us out at Pottersville, High Street, and downtown Roses.
I wanna drink Dominica best rum with you. I wanna drink, baby, Dominica best rum with you. Get the bubble, drink it every day. Give me energy, no right pepper way. Get the bubble, drink it every day. Give me energy. Time today, we wait. Okay. My baby, who's ready? Full energy. My body, my baby, who's ready? Full energy. Okay, boom. Distributed by Belfast Estate Limited. Drink it, but don't abuse it. Okay, boom. Fresh market. Where money don't come, then your pocket doesn't hurt you. A fresh market, fresh market. Come on, it's a fine day. Yeah, come on. We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. Well stocked supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meats prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it. Fresh market, your one stop. Where money don't come, then your pocket doesn't hurt you. Fresh market,
All right, Dominica, we're asking some brutally honest questions here this afternoon. There is the opposition ready for if an election is called in Dominica today? Like we heard in St. Lucia, it happened last night. And the opposition there says they're ready. Is if one is called in Dominica, just being hypothetical here, is the opposition in Dominica ready? We have a call on the line here. Good afternoon to you, sir. How you doing?
Good afternoon. How are you? That's an interesting topic you're exploring this afternoon, eh?
I'm just trying to find out the readiness of the parties.
It's very well. That's for the parties to know, isn't that so?
Of course.
And quite frankly, I mean, the prime minister has a trump card, which he can call anytime. But of course, as I think Mr. Baptist was saying a while ago, legally can always be challenged. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a realistic question. I don't think the head of state we have now, and I'm not going to mention the name or the office, I'm talking about the head of state,
Right.
the person in whom the responsibility of the constitution is vested. If that person has been asked to issue a writ, do they have the requisite backbone or sinews to challenge the prime minister and say, no, Mr. Prime Minister, I don't think it is right and fitting at this time to call an election? It will take a president or a head of state of absolute grit and backbone and a certain willingness to be impartial to challenge the prime minister to call like that. Don't you think so?
Mm-hmm. That's what I think.
No. So does the head of state we have now have the necessary grit, backbone, prowess to recognize that, given the context of which we are in, if she's asked to prorogue parliament or call an election, to tell the prime minister no? I don't think so. And every realistic Dominican does not think so.
In other words, caller, she doesn't have the balls to speak.
Well, I don't go down that road. This kind of anomalies and analogies to me are too street laden to even think of put it like that. You know, the office of the president calls for a certain high degree of impartiality. Okay? Because if one understands the duties and responsibilities of the president under the Constitution, to be impartial, to use the office as the head of state to safeguard democracy, to protect the people of Dominica from unfair governance, and to ensure that decisions made by the government in the interest of the state are carried out with due process and an understanding that any decision the government makes must be in the best interest of the people and the country. You understand what I'm saying? That's why the person serves as head of state, not as head of the government in power or not as a head against the opposition. The person is vested in the person, right, to embody that sacred document to ensure that the country is stable, that the government acts properly, and that the relevant considerations are put in place when the decision is being made. And I think that is it. So that is how it has to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
No, you have to have that certain level of courage and fortitude, and above all, prudence, which must be utilized in making a decision if the prime minister has to call an election, yes or no. And so the person who's there now, the question we have to ask from all asunder, does that person possess these necessary qualities to challenge a call for an election? You understand what I'm telling you?
Yes.
On the other hand, I mean, it's the prime minister to know if he's ready. He has the prerogative. Mr. Hartley Adams, I'm very sarcastically, with a certain level of satire, put it on the table. Yes, the prime minister, just as the UWP had in 1999, you know, against all advice to call an election when it was premature. You know what I mean? And the prime minister himself has done it. And that has been done by governments. Margaret Thatcher did it 3 times. You know what I mean? The great Sir Winston Churchill of the United Kingdom did it, and then he lost his election. So that has been done across the board. So let us not be foolhardy in thinking that the prime minister cannot call. He can call an election 6 months after a previous election. Now, what the opposition decides to do is a different matter. You understand what I'm telling you? So I think in that, and if I were the opposition, I would never say if I am ready. You know, it would be a little bit unwise for an opposition to declare publicly if they are ready. While it is your right to ask that question, but I think in terms of strategy, in terms of approach, in terms of being smart and savvy and cunning, which comes with being part in politics, you do not say if you're ready, because there are many things that require an opposition party to be ready for take. Because Matt, essentially, what is an election about? What is an election about? And key thing in winning an election is to get more votes than the other party. That's why that basically when it comes to election, right? It is about winning key electoral victories to reshape the government. That's what it is about. And Dominicans, to my mind, don't understand what election is to a very large extent. But the purpose of an election is to beat the other party. So the government in power can beat the opposition. The opposition needs to find ways and means to beat the government in power. That's what it has to be. And no matter how cunning, no matter how snap it is, no matter how, if it is called early or not, it is up to the opposition to say, well, okay, what strategies are we putting in place? What considerations are we giving? How are we organizing ourselves? How are we staffing ourselves? How are we going to get out the vote? How are we going to engage the people on the ground to make sure that when an election comes, we give the party in power a surprise of the day? And that is what has to happen. So that's how you win an election. So there's an art that comes into playing and figure out how to get the numbers right. Right? And every candidate and the party has to go out and say, well, okay, and in the background, how do you build the electorate to make sure you get more than 50% of the votes? How do you persuade the undecided people with a certain effective strategy that wins the vote and takes away from your opponent and gets the vote? How do you turn out supporters? The main focus of a campaign should be on identifying supporters and making sure that they get out to vote, which will be generally focused on how progressive are your candidates, and then what kind of direct voter contact you have, what conversation are you having with voters, what ingredients are you putting in place to make sure that every ballot that is cast comes in favor of you, and also to how are you building relationships? What type of voter do you want to get? What kind of face-to-face conversations you having? How are you keeping track of the responses that the electorates are telling you? What voters do you target? How do you plan to get your friends and your neighbors and whatever out to vote? How are you focusing on people that can have an impact in terms of their daily lives? How do you find the right time to talk to people? That is all of those things that you have to do, and particularly what is the what do you call it, the process of your relationship building. How do you build your volunteers? Look at what happened in New York, Matt. Let us take the situation of New York, when that guy faced every opposition from even within his own party, but he was able to build a volunteer capacity that was able to go out and knock on doors and have a strong showing on election day, so you could fight the battle on election day. What conversations are you having with voters? So I mean, it's all of that. And particularly, Matt, how localized are your efforts? Because an election isn't won on a general level. An election is won on localized efforts. So the opposition has to know how are they going into Castle Bruce, how are they going into La Plaine, how are they going into Grand Fort, Roseau, Newtown, all these places with what you call literal boots on the ground, have the kind of conversation with voters and decide, okay, when election day comes around, the people whom you have thing, and then you have to be able to look at identifying what districts you can go, how you persuading people, how you're going to get the turnout, and as I mentioned, volunteer recruitment, because the politicians at the top alone cannot get voters out. And that is where, Matt, I differ from people who want to compare Lennox or Thompson or Mr. Skerry. Unfortunately, with the advent of the present Prime Minister, Dominicans are voting for him and they're not voting for themselves. If Dominicans were voting for themselves, the current government in power would not be there for 25 years. But what you have in Dominica is you have a set of voters who are going to the polls, and instead of voting for them on bread and butter issues, instead of voting for themselves on healthcare issues, instead of voting for themselves on education and the cost of living issues, they are voting for a man to keep him in power. So Dominicans love the Prime Minister of Dominica more than they love themselves.
You're saying they're not voting for their own candidates, their own reps?
They're not even voting. I mean, they're not voting for it, but Matt, it is clear. It is clear. Dominicans are not voting. If Dominicans were voting for themselves, with the fact that they realize they cannot make ends meet, with the fact that they realize the healthcare system is amiss, with the fact that they realize the very parliamentarians are not serving their needs, with the fact that they realize that the agriculture in Dominica is dead, with the fact that they realize their life, they cannot afford to pay their loans and pay their bills and send their children to school and live independently. If Dominicans would they realize that and they had voted to make their lives better, this government in power would be gone a long time. But Dominicans, what are they doing? They're voting for a man. And they're voting for a person to keep that person in power, because why? They love that person in power more than they love themselves. That is what is happening in Dominica, because Matt, every person living in Dominica knows there's a disequilibrium, there's a serious inequity, there's a gross inequality between the people that are in power and the average Dominican on the street. The average person in government and minister can fly overseas and get better health care, while at the top, while the basic Dominican has to be at the mercy of the hospital in Goodwill or the ill-staffed or ill-equipped hospital in Maribor and Portsmouth for health care that they cannot afford and they cannot meet. The basic Dominican knows that the average politician can fly overseas, can have expensive car, and they cannot do it. The average voter in Dominica knows that when you look at the people in power that be those somebody can build houses, can have 2, 3, 4 houses, while they themselves can hardly afford to put galvanize over their house or to furnish, or that the basic Dominican can know that most of the politicians in power now, their banks accounts are fat, while many Dominicans cannot even go to a financial institution to get a proper loan. So, Matt, I mean, let's face it. I mean, when you look at the political dynamics of Dominica, right? When you look at the average social, economic, even political situation in Dominica, any opposition in Dominica should have a walk over the current government in power. But that's not what is happening. Instead of people are looking at comparing leaders. I am not one who subscribe, because let me tell you something. Whether or not UWP wins election tomorrow, Thompson Fountain alone cannot fix Dominica. Okay, while leadership is important, leadership is only important insofar as it can harness the skills and the abilities of the people around them to lead a country. Look at the government we have in power today. The head of government is the minister of everything, minister of education, minister of agriculture, minister of communication, minister of health, of everything. While you have people sitting in government offices as ministers being paid who cannot outline policy, no Dominican knows the philosophy upon which they don't have a direction. They cannot tell any average Dominican what is their legacy or what they can do. Instead, what do we see them? Expensive suits, expensive cars, big houses. These are the only legacies that any current minister of government today has. Can anybody say what does any current minister of government today has been able to articulate to the masses of Dominicans to say how they can make their lives better? No. And so therefore, we cannot trade absolute leadership with another absolute leader. Okay? It's going to take a group of people who can think. And whether or not you have coalition or you have this coming together or that coming together, Matt, the people of Dominica know that as far as the conversations that they have are to had, if Dominicans are honest with themselves, if Dominicans are conscious of the need for change, if Dominicans are honest and forthright, anytime an election is called in Dominica, they will go to the polls and do the right things. But we cannot live like ostriches. And so we have to be very mindful of yes, I mean, an election is called in St. Lucia, but we cannot necessarily translate what happens in St. Lucia with what happens in Dominica. And so I hope the opposition is ready. I hope the opposition is strategizing. I hope the opposition is not thinking like the mistake that is made in this government, that people will vote for Thompson Fountain in Granby and Maho and St. Lucia, and St. Joseph and Grand Fort and Laplin because of who he is. They have to vote for the candidates in each constituency who has been able to muster the confidence of the people in the individual constituencies that when I vote for you, you are going to represent me. And that is a change we have to have in Dominica. Because the question we have to ask today is the parliamentary representative of Paybush representing the parliamentary of Paybush? Is the parliamentary representative of Portsmouth representing the people of Portsmouth or Cottage or any one of those other constituencies for that matter, where the current government now has parliamentary representatives? Are they representing them? And the answer is no. And so we must transition from that absolute ultimate ruler back to what we know as representative government. And so for that to happen, the potential candidates must be on the ground. They cannot expect to be tail-coated and think, well, okay, that one leader is going to make them win their constituencies. It's not going to happen that way. And so the people must be convinced, okay? The people have to be enlightened. The people have to be mobilized. The people have to be brought to a level where they are so dissatisfied and angry that when they put their X on that paper, it's going to be against the government in power today. Unless they can be brought to that level and that realization, then any election that is called today would be surprising to Dominica. The question is, can Dominica and Dominicans afford another 5 years of what we have today? And so it's their choice.
All right, Simeon, I'll take you on that note there. Thank you. Very well said, though. When we come back, we'll listen to the opposition leader there in St. Lucia. An election has been called there in St. Lucia. He says they're ready. Mr. Chastney spoke in an exclusive interview with Q95 this morning. Stick around.
In defense of our democracy, in defense of our country, we the people stand together to oppression, corruption, nepotism, and mismanagement.
We're going to come back, Dominic, after this one from the Foster. This is the talk on the block.
Sincerely apologize on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Oh God, we didn't vote for that. No, don't divide our country and destroy we unity. No. To run this country, fooling everybody, I say, well, we don't want you. Back up in the church feet, well, today you can't get away, no. We don't want you. Why should we stay silent and not say one word? We must be defiant, let our voices be heard. When I can't vote for that, my country, I give a choice. Once again, for the country, hear my voice. Yeah, don't get that lele on me, and still we democracy. No, don't divide our country and destroy we unity. No, put my country first. I do not suffer because of justice. No. No. Transparency International rated that so low for underhanded killings you saw. Now the people say you must go. Yeah. Oh no. No. You taking care of your family and all your friends, we say, well, we don't want you. People is people too. Still nothing coming, we wait. No. We don't want you. Contract for the wealthy, nothing for the empty. Only storage for people like you and me. It's good for people that science and them boys getting all, nothing for poor people who voted for you at all. None at all. no cacalet, until we democracy. No divide our country and destroy the unity. No, Section 34 was to settle us all. It has nothing to do with the poor who suffering forevermore. Tell me, no. You let us see thousands of innocent black brothers taken up and sent to jail under your state of emergency. Tell me,
We have spoken enough. It is now time for action. And in that regard, we deserve not to call election now.
corruption and crime is the order of the day. Yes, the unemployment so high, nurses and teachers going away. You promise the people better days are coming. You promise to listen. You promise everything. On election day, we go hit the people for up the door. And still we democracy. No divide our country and destroy we unity. No cacalet, and still we democracy. No divide our country and destroy we unity. No cacalet, and still we democracy.
It's already 2:11 in the afternoon, Monday 10th of November in the year 2025. Very interesting discussion. Somebody says, Matt, let the CBI cash cow dry up and the Venezuela cartel money coming to an end. And we will see how fast scared fanatics will start asking for a new party leader. As of now, they are in a headlock with the status quo. Mad, after 25 years, they cannot afford their own IDs to reconfirm. Their party have to do it for them while they're walking around with $1,000 suits in their face. Now let's listen to Mr. Shastney, and I will continue to take your phone calls towards the end there. And that's the opposition leader representing the United Workers' Party in St. Lucia. Alan. That's the opposition in St. Lucia.
The United Workers' Party has been ready. We launched all of our 17 candidates over 2 months ago. We've already announced 2 major policy positions, an SOS for the general country of seven things that we would do once we're elected. And then we also launched an SOS plan for the youth of St. Lucia, which is also 7 things that we're going to do immediately upon getting in office to help the young people of this country, because the country is in crisis. And that's the reason why the Prime Minister has had to call the election early.
But from what I gather, based on the announcement, it seems that he's calling the election because he seemed confident about going winning that election. How would you react to that?
Certainly that would be the impression he's trying to give the people of St. Lucia. But when one gets past all of the propaganda and the lies and the spin that this government has been doing for the last 4.5 years, and you get down to what the basic facts are, you'll realize that he has to call the election now. The Prime Minister had made a promise that he was going to complete the St. Jude's Hospital. Originally, while they were in opposition, they said that all the hospital needed was some paint and some chemical. and they would be able to move in. Here it is now 4.5 years later, and the government has spent in excess of 400 million EC dollars on trying to restore an 80-year-old building into a hospital. They have stopped the international airport. The government is supposed to have been laying documents to the House, tabling documents in the House with regards to reports on the CIP program. And they've called the election so they don't have to. This government knows that it cannot go to another budget because the economy has virtually collapsed. During COVID, I'm very proud of the programs that my government implemented, and we had what was called a V-shaped recovery meeting. Because of COVID, the economy contracted by 24%, and we were able to recover very, very quickly on the basis that we had a policy of coexist with COVID, and we reopened our doors as early as June in 2020. And that decision proved economically to be a very, very wise decision. And since then, this government has wasted the momentum that was created. Tourism has contracted significantly this year. Agriculture has contracted. There's been no growth in manufacturing. And in the area of construction, we've seen that one contractor has gotten the bulk of all government contracts for the last 4.5 years. So to avoid having to account to the people of this country, he's had no choice but to call an early election.
But tell me, because he did say in an interview there that the economy is on a rise in St. Lucia. Is that false?
That is false. So the Prime Minister, in his speech last night, deliberately made a comparison between 2021 and today. So in 2021, he showed that the debt to GDP was 95%. And today, the debt to GDP is 73%. But prior to COVID, so in 2019, the debt to GDP in St. Lucia was at 59%. And we'd had 3 consecutive years of economic growth. We brought youth unemployment, which when we came in 2016 was 44%. We brought youth unemployment down to 25%. And we brought the national unemployment rate down to 14%. And the country was on a significant increase. So to go and make the comparison of numbers from 2021 until today is really intellectually dishonest to the public of St. Lucia. And to try to suggest that it was misadministration and corruption that caused the demise of our economy in the first place, when everybody knew up until 2019 the country was being managed perfectly well. There was no allegations of corruptions or anything. And certainly it was during the COVID period when the economy dropped because of COVID. The GDP dropped 24%. So your debt to GDP is going to go up. It wasn't by an increase in debt. And what we've seen under this administration now is, notwithstanding the recovery plan that was put in place and the success of the recovery plan, that this government has increased the debt of this country by almost $2 billion in 4.5 years. It's unprecedented. And if he had to stay in office right now, because he can stay in office until next October, had the budget in March. If he had to go to the budget, he would have had to now lay bare all of the problems that the economy is having and to give an explanation. And he certainly decided not to do that. And it was wiser for him to call an early election.
The last election, of course, the Labour Party won that election. So what is actually different now than when the last election took place, that you feel so confident?
Sorry, repeat that question. I didn't hear you.
I said the last election, sir, the Labour Party actually won that election. So it appears that the people of St. Lucia had confidence in the Labour Party. I'm asking you now, what is different now that you think your party stands a better chance?
Well, first of all, one has to really look at the results of the last election. The Labour Party won 13 seats, and we won 2. We got 42% of the popular vote. They got 50% of the popular vote. 50% of the popular vote. They got 77% of the seats, 13. And I got, when I say I, the United Workers' Party, got two seats, so 11%. I think that we should have won 7 seats. We won 2. The 5 seats we did not win, we lost by a total of 900 votes. And 1 seat was by 400 votes. That means that we 4 of the seats that we lost by 500 votes. So it was a very, very marginal victory when you take it by constituency basis. And I think that since then, let's look what has happened. The government has come in. I had brought the VAT rate down to 12.5%. The government went and imposed a health and security levy of 2.5%, so bringing the VAT rate back up to 15.5%. The government has allowed the price of bread to double. The government has allowed the price of fares go up. This government has increased taxes and put on a burden on the society at a time when there was inflation. And the cost of living has almost doubled in St. Lucia. And meanwhile, people's wages have not gone up significantly. So this government, and I think that they know it and the people know it, have been a dismal failure. The government made significant allegations of corruption under my administration. They've had 4.5 years, and they have not been able to produce one iota of evidence to suggest or show there was any level of corruption taking place. In fact, we have a situation right now where almost 36,000 passports have been sold under the CIP program. No accountability for it. Almost $3 billion US. They have now sold our port for $1 and given away $400 million US over the next 40 years to a company that was never had to put out to bid. Our NLA, the National Lottery, a loan was taken under them for $80 million. We don't know how the money was spent, but all we know is $1 million a month that should have been going into support youth programs, education, and sports is now going to paying off a loan for the $80 million. So the evidence of mismanagement and corruption is glaring for everyone to see in this country.
So the CIP continues to be a troubling issue in there in St. Lucia.
Well, the whole region. I mean, I don't know what's happened in Dominica, whether you've now signed off and gone to Parliament with the new regulatory agency that's been put in and the new Regulation Act. But when you look at the new act that the government here has now just passed, they have surrendered all sovereignty as it pertains to CIP. All the contracts have to be vetted. There has to be a registry of everybody who's being approved. And so all the controls and the sovereignty of the individuality of the programs has been taken away, and now there is one regulator. I mean, so I think that in order to save the program and to avoid the imposition of visa restrictions on our countries, the 5 OECS countries have had to agree to signing on to this regulator. And this is not a typical kind of regional piece of legislation. This legislation is binding and gives the regulator a lot of authority and control.
Actually, I just spoke to a correspondent there in the United States who said the U.S. is coming down hard on this CIP countries. In Dominica, we call it, of course, the CBI program. They're coming down hard on these leaders for tougher legislation to control it. So they're under some serious pressure.
They are, and so the fact is that they're not signing it because they wanted to sign it. They're signing it because they have no choice. And that's what I'm saying to you. This government has run out of time, and the lies and the propaganda are not going to work anymore. And before they have to completely reveal themselves, they've decided to call the election, and we're ready. And I'm very sure that the people of St. Lucia are ready for a change.
I see the Labour Party actually in St. Vincent having an election there, maybe a few days before the Labour Party. Do you think that trend will continue across the Caribbean in terms of the Labour Party calling elections? And if yes, why?
Well, I can't answer that question. I know that they work very closely together. We've seen they've been very aligned on foreign policy. And I know that they're very closely aligned politically. I don't know whether this is going to be now a continuing trend. I guess depending on the outcome of both the St. Vincent election, where the opposition is poised to win the election, and here in St. Lucia. I think a lot of persons may think that because the government won, with 13 seats previously, that it's going to be an uphill battle. But I can tell you, once you understand that 5 of the seats were within 900 votes in total. It tells you how close this election is.
You seem very confident that we're going forward.
Well, we have to be. The fact is that the evidence is there that this country has been mismanaged, that people are worse off today than they were 5 years ago. And most importantly, people in this country feel betrayed. You know, the Prime Minister
You said
looked
betrayed.
everybody in the eye.
You said betrayed.
Betrayed. Because the Prime Minister looked everybody in the eye when he introduced the health and security tax and asked people to make a sacrifice. And we only found out that the monies never were intended for health and security, but were to be used to support a loan that he was getting from CDB. The Prime Minister has lied about the GPH deal, the port deal. He's lied about the CIP programs. He said he was going to hold his ministers accountable. We have a minister that has a very bad track record in government and in his personal life, who's on his...
We may have lost Mr. Shastny there for a minute. Are you still there?
I am very confident,
Yes.
because I feel that people are fed up with this kind of governance. And this is an opportunity, this is a referendum on this government. And the fact is, do people want to see business as usual under this government? One of no transparency, no accountability. And the fact is, of the cost of living on the people.
A confident Chastney there in St. Lucia, speaking to yours truly on the hot seat this morning. Hence the question, is the opposition in Dominica ready? Let's take of course, a voice note. I will continue, yeah?
Matt,
Tell me.
good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon
and
to
to the
you.
Dominican people.
Uh-huh.
It's Monday, and I'm listening. And apparently we're talking about elections in Dominica because we have St. Lucia and St. Vincent getting organized. And we want to know about the opposition party. Matt, the word is affordability. Last Tuesday, we had some elections in some states in the United States of America, and we saw what happened. The opposition in Dominica, I'm going to tell you, call Zoran Mamdani. Zoran Mamdani. When he started, it was 1%. Nobody knew who he was. Everybody know who Governor Cuomo is. Also his dad, Mario Cuomo, who was twice mayor of the great New York City. And we all know what happened to Cuomo. And he tried to run again, but the people said no. Mamdani, billionaires were pouring in money into Cuomo's campaign. There were ads all over the place. Mamdani, it was pure grassroots, to the point where he said, listen, guys, no more donations. We have enough. But even if the billionaires were pouring billions of dollars into Cuomo's campaign, Mamdani turned out victorious in double digits. And you know why? He went out there and he spoke to the people. Matt, you know Fordham Road, right? Mamdani was on Fordham Road, knocking fists and talking to the aunties and talking to the people. He went to the people and spoke to them at their level. This is what he did. Mamdani went all over New York City and knocked on doors. This is how he did it. And the other thing is, the young people came out. The young people said, enough. The future belongs to us, and we are going to change this thing around. And majority of the young people voted Mamdani. So I don't care what people talk about who has the money and who has this and who has that. You need to go out there and meet the people and do the work. And make sure you are saying what you're going to do for the people, not what you're giving them. What I'm going to do for you so you can have a better future, not what I'm giving you just for today and tomorrow you have nothing. What I'm prepared to do is to teach you to fish and not to give you a fish. The very same Chinese you have in Dominica, that's one of their proverbs. You know, I'm just saying this afternoon, Matt, call Zoran Mamdani and see and ask him how he did it. To the opposition people in Dominica, go out there and do the work, meet the people where they are, and listen to them most importantly. I'm just saying, have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Dominic is the worst after 25 years, no upward mobility, and these lazy politicians need to go. That's a Facebook message. Matt betrayed, Mr. Chastney said. Believe it, people of Dominica has been betrayed as well. On the telephone, hello, talk to me. Yes?
Yes, Matt. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, Matt. I see Mr. Joseph made that point very distinctly. I made that point this morning. It's not about voting for Roosevelt Skerrit. You are voting in your constituency for your representative. He may belong to a party or he may not. He could be an independent. But because you in that constituency see that he is interested in serving that constituency, you may most likely vote for him. Whereas whether the opposition or the party in power, they don't have proper representation, you choose the independent or you choose the best man that you believe will represent you in your constituency. Roosevelt Skerrit has made it about his broomsticks. He has the idea, any broomstick he puts there, you have to vote for it. People must understand that it is very different. You need your own representative first. Later on, he can go in coalition if he wants, with your consultation, with or without. But he must be your representative, not the representative of some political leader necessarily. Thank you, Matt. I think I made the point.
All right, thank you very much. Somebody, correction there. Mario Cuomo was governor of New York, the New York State, and not mayor. 449-3095. But the point was made in terms of, the monies that were available for mayorship. Hello, yes? 449-3095-9697. Let's do this and we'll come back. Dominica, remember, Global View on Q tomorrow.
It is our 43rd Global View on Q show for 2025, and we continue to engage with our local, regional, and global Q family listeners and friends of Dominica at home and abroad. My co-host is Justice Dr. Irving Andre. Our guest tonight is businessman and pharmacist Andy Jolly. Tonight we ask, has the absence of long-term people-centered goals, integrated plans, and implementation of economic strategies in Dominica over the past 25 years been replaced by a plan of personal enrichment, which has led to missed opportunities in agriculture, in agribusiness, in manufacturing, in tourism, in foreign relations, in modern healthcare, and state-of-the-art education in preparation for this era of knowledge industries. So here are some issues and questions we want to deal with tonight. Dictatorship and development. Are these two concepts mutually exclusive? Has development in Dominica been stultified by dictatorship? Have the fruits of money laundering destroyed Dominica's development? Has industry been destroyed by the vanity of our leaders? as government ownership of services such as Domlec reduce the cost of electricity in Dominica? Will foreign management of geothermal energy result in lower energy costs in Dominica? Has a plan of personal enrichment replaced an integrated plan for development in Dominica? What have been Dominica's long-term goals over the past 25 years? Does Dominica have any long-term integrated goals and plans? Their implementation strategies to achieve such goals and plans? And if any, are the implementers of such strategies knowledgeable, trained, and competent in the necessary fields? Or are these decisions being taken by on a whim as we go along? So what is the winning strategy in terms of, or what is the financial strategy to assist local entrepreneurs in undertaking their projects and in sustaining their investments? And then how is construction of major infrastructure projects like links to planned economic growth and progress? As I always say, thinking forward towards 2028, or to Dominica's 50th anniversary of independence, what are the people's expectations for their well-being? Are they satisfied with the current conditions and lack of economic and social progress? So we look forward to the suggestions of our panel, or listeners, or callers and viewers on Facebook and YouTube on this topic. Has the absence of long-term people-centered goals, integrated plans, and implementation of economic strategies in Dominica over the past 25 years been replaced by a plan of personal enrichment, which has led to missed opportunities in agriculture, agribusiness, manufacturing, tourism, foreign relations, modern healthcare, and state-of-the-art education in preparation for this era of knowledge industries? And what needs to be done to move beyond these 25 years of economic stagnation and oppression and away from dictatorship ahead of our 50th anniversary of independence? So Justice Dr. Irving Andrews and a businessman and pharmacist Andy Jolly will share their ideas on this topic. So let's talk tomorrow, Tuesday night, from 8 p.m. on the Global Zone.
The New India Insurance Company has reopened its doors in Portsmouth, offering the same great services you get in Roseau: motor vehicle insurance, home and business owners, fire and related perils, public liability, and so much more. Come, visit us today for insurance with a personal touch on Bay Street, Portsmouth, or call us at 445-4023. We are ready to serve you.
After working hard for many years in London, Goldwyn is now retired and back living in Dominica enjoying his pension. He too shook a smile so we can see the gold teeth and too shook a yank. I met him coming out of Floss's with the help of some staff carrying different foods, drinks, and meats to his vehicle. Myself too fast to go and ask the man what's up. Is their story start? Après moi fini travail word, so that Kadimo de San Dominic pour fini la hamwe. I said, Goldwyn, speak in English, don't force it. Then he said, I shop with intelligence, yeah? At Floss's, you get the most reasonable prices for the bag flour, rice, sugar, milk, beers, soft drinks, water, rum, and so much more. Prices and quantities to fit your needs, mate. Because you just come down and want to tell me what I know about Floss's already. That's where I shop. It's not you alone that want to save money but still get the quality goods. That's right. And if you're listening to this ad, go and check out Floss's for yourself. Next to the Roseau Market, you can't miss it.
Now opened on Sunday from
Your
10 a.m.
favorite store, dial it now. 612-1253. That's Mega. You can rely on Mega for some real deals on name brand clothing and electronics. High quality, low price. We are a wholesale and retail store located in Calabishi, right on the main road. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram at Mega Deals Dominica. Like our page. Check out our stuff. Call us. Visit us. Would appreciate that. Come try it on. Love it. Buy it. Mega Deals. Your one and only differently online and brick-and-mortar store. Mega Deals is also on wheels. We make it convenient for your shopping. We deliver straight to your door. Email us at info@megadealsda.com. Rely on Mega Deals for some real deals.
Somebody says that there's no need to call this a new mayor in New York. We've seen Joshua Francis do it already. Knocking the door to the stories right here. It has been proven, huh? Knocking on doors is the answer. Let's go back to the telephone. It's 241. Talk to me, yes?
Good afternoon, Matt. Good afternoon, Dominic.
How you doing, my brother? How you doing?
I am good. I'm good. Matt, I hear people calling and making comparisons to the midterm elections in America and to Dominica's elections. Matt, the people in them need to stop it. And this is the reason why Dominicans are wondering what will happen if Scary should call an election. Because we missed a very crucial and critical part of the electoral reform when we were having those reforms. Okay? When it comes to the point where one man can decide when an election is called, he's going to call it when he has an advantage. And all of the parties have turned a blind eye to fixed date elections. In America, you can count down 20 years from today. Somebody can begin to prepare today at the age of 20 and say, I'm going to run for president in next 20 years. He knows when that election is going to be called. That is not the case in Dominica. In Dominica, it's a case where between now and next 20 years, you could have 40 elections because the prime minister calls elections at his whims and fancies when he has a political advantage. And what should have happened when we had electoral reform was for the people to agitate and to make sure fixed date elections were a part of that reform that we were looking for. We didn't get it. We have lost the boat. And as a result of that, whenever we have election call in any country, we are frightened. We're wondering what's happening. Now, I hear people calling saying, oh, the candidates must be on the street and go and get to know your people. Matt, how many people knew any of the kindergarten candidates that the Prime Minister had prior to 2023? Nobody knew them.
Nobody.
Nobody knew them. But the people went out and the fools voted for them. Okay? Even when you saw that their behavior was immoral, people still voted for them. And so for people to, while I do not say that, I'm not saying that this is the way that the UWP should do it, or the Freedom Party. They should wait for the last minute. The people who are saying, oh, we need to know who the candidates are, no, they are just trying to find an excuse. You don't need to know who the candidates are. When the candidates are announced and you look at them and you see their pedigree, Matt, you support you, and moreover, you see where they are aligned to, because anybody who is aligned to the Labour Party, irrespective of what else they bring, they already start off on the back foot as corrupt. Because you cannot lie with a dog and don't get fleas. You will get fleas. So you are with the Labour Party, you are corrupt. The people need to understand that and stop blaming the opposition, say they're not ready, not ready. The opposition are ready, and we, all of us know who they are, just because they have not been officially named. Because should you name them, the victimization begins. Their children begin to pay for it. Their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, everybody begin to pay for it. And the only thing could have minimized this thing, Matt, is had we have fixed date elections. If we had that victimization, that political controlling that we have in Dominica and the Caribbean, if at all we have fixed date elections, it is never going to happen. And that is why every politician in power knows they are afraid of fixed date elections. They don't want it because it's going to set them out of this. They know they've not performed. They are not performing during their term. So when they put fixed date elections, they know they are going. So they don't want it. They want it. Tomorrow they begin a new project in the country and they begin to tell you things are good. And when they tell you that, they call election because people are stupid. Or you go out there and you get a little job and you think it's rosy.
But let me just ask you a question there. Would you be surprised if Skerrit calls the election? Would you?
Matt, look, when you know the nature of a beast, nothing should surprise you about that beast. You should know what to expect. I would not be surprised Skerrit called it, because we know Skerrit is unscrupulous as hell. What I would say to the people is that if Skerrit should do that, we should never allow that election to take place. That is when I can see them bringing the RSS to Dominica again. Because should Skerrit do that, we all should go and, Matt, you have to break down to build up. Okay? You have to break down to rebuild. And so if Skerrit should call an election under them circumstances, we should go down to the town and make sure that it is civil unrest, it is chaos in Dominica. We should not allow it, because if we allow it to come peacefully, we will continue to be enslaved by this government for another 5 years. Who wants that? You have to sacrifice something to get where you want or what you want. Okay?
All right, caller. Thank you. 245. Man, the DLP leadership is not playing fair. They have no heart to even consider what it will be like to experience another administration led by fellow compatriots. So he rang the bell in St. Lucia, Philip J. Pierre, and we heard another bell ringing a couple of weeks ago. It's happening on November 27th. You heard the opposition leader saying in St. Lucia, they usually, support each other. So we cannot be surprised if one is called in Dominica. Not the opposition forces in Dominica need to stop focusing on when election is called and put more focus on winning team unity. Mary Jr. Charles always say, election is always coming. A prime minister can call election any day. Trying to bring the opposition forces together tomorrow morning and see if that works. So day 2 will be asked the very same question. I'll let you know if it becomes a reality tomorrow morning. I'm now talking to the leaders. I have Mr. Julius Corbett. Mr. Julius Corbett, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. What's your thoughts on whether the opposition in Dominica is ready? Your thoughts?
They're not.
They're not.
And I heard you asking Johnson Boston this morning, and he was so disingenuous. He couldn't tell you the damn truth. They are not ready. The systems are not in place.
So why you think they're not ready? Why you think they're not ready?
Because they're reactionaries. They're not proactive. They should be out there doing the things they want to be doing, knocking on doors and making sure everyone, especially when it comes to confirmation. How on earth can they not by now go out in every village, in every nook and cranny, and make sure that everybody who was born in Dominica, whether or not they have a passport or not, have the credentials so that they can get confirmation? How many Dominicans have passports and have driver's license? But by George, they all have a birth certificate, and somebody can confirm that. It's a lot of horsemen,
but it's basically saying the law right now as we speak, you cannot use your birth certificate to confirm. You cannot.
But that is nonsense. What else can they not do? Why is that? Why are they allowing that? I understand they had some SRO that went through.
Mm-hmm.
That horseman your part. Matt. Every Dominican who was born there has to have had a birth certificate. And there's nothing more legitimate than a birth certificate. They can use it to obtain whatever other documents the government wants to present.
But I'm telling you now, that based on the SRO, that they actually passed a law that says you cannot use your birth certificate anymore. That's the point. You cannot.
But that is excuse my language. This is bullshit. Excuse my language. How can you pass a law when you know that the Dominicans cannot satisfy that? How many Dominicans have a passport? How many of them own a driver's license? But by George, they all can present a damn birth certificate. It pissed me off when I hear those damn things. And some we're treating that very lightly. The opposition cannot treat that lightly. The confirmation, that is what we have done all our lives.
So you say that you're basically saying they should do all in their powers to make sure that birth certificate should be used.
This is what Skerrit should be doing. This guy should be making sure that every Dominican can vote, and the way they go, and make sure that they have the basic document in hand. The basic document in hand is the birth certificate. It gives you the right to obtain additional documents the government may so wish to issue. It is horse manure. How can people like Boston and these guys stand around and allow that to go for SRO? There should be all kind of demonstrations in the damn streets of Roseau around the country. It's nonsense. And I further understand that the government has gone about the place and now issuing passport paid to them, to the people together. So they actually virtually paying these people to get their passport done.
But they're the ones you would agree to who has the money, the l'argent, so they can afford that.
Yes, but their job is to make sure that the voting is seamless. There is no difficulty in making sure that every Dominican has a right to vote. And it is the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance to ensure that they use their basic, legitimate form of documentation, a birth certificate.
Mr. Corbett, are you coming back in the ring? Are you coming back in the ring?
I have to. I'm going to get out of retirement and come back home. This is nonsense. This is nonsense.
How
can you tell me that at everybody in every village, every corner in the Dominica where a child is born, any child over the age of 18 in Dominica right now should have at a minimum a birth certificate.
True.
Which is the basic form of documentation. It's just, excuse my language, man. This is nonsense.
All right, Mr. Corbett, we'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you soon. Good to hear your voice,
We
though.
gotta talk. I gotta talk. This is nonsense.
All right, thank you very much. The opposition, you're not trying hard enough, according to Mr. Corbett, to make sure that the people can vote with, or of course, can register with the birth certificate.
It is Scarrett's responsibility to make sure that he provides every opportunity for every Dominican to vote, and using the bare minimum of documentation with the birth certificate for confirmation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Julius Corbett. $2:54 is the afternoon time. This is the talk on the block. If it's on the block, we'll talk about it. Mr. Corbett says he's coming back in the ring. Hello, talk to me. Yes. Are you there, caller? Hello? Are you? You're not. Yes, and you're right. You must have a birth certificate to get a passport and a driver's license. Not necessarily a driver's license, but of course, a passport. You need to present a birth certificate. So. We have just about 4 minutes. Let's see if we can play a voice note there. Kindly. Yes, talk to me.
Matt, greetings to you and to your listeners. Matt, it's pretty obvious, if you look at what has transpired with the Electoral Commission in recent times, particularly since the press conference that was held a day after a meeting that the Electoral Commission had, where at that meeting it was agreed that they would have a press conference 1 week later. And instead of conforming with that agreement, the head of the commission and his chief elections officer held the press conference 1 day later, the following day, in a small office in the Electoral Commission, with apparently only 2 members of the press there.
I was not for sure.
Curtis Matthew and possibly one other person. It's pretty obvious what's going on. If you really analyze what's happening. And at that press conference, I believe Curtis Matthew was the one who asked Mr. Duncan Stowe, what would happen? It is being said that the Prime Minister might call an election at any time. What would be your response as the Electoral Commission should that happen? And he said, well, he kind of sounded like he was a bit, knocked back a bit by that question. And then he said, well, if he does that, he's allowed to do that by law. And if he does that, then I guess we will have to get ourselves in gear and everybody will have to fall in line. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said. Everybody will have to fall in line and we'll have to get it done. So I think it is pretty obvious that, when you look at that and you look at the fact that they say, well, if an election is called within the period of the confirmation process, then the list that will be utilized will be the last list that was produced. I believe it's a list from May or July of 2025. well, that list will be the last list utilized. And in addition to that, any newly registered voters. But at the same time, the commission apparently, allegedly, has given an instruction to their registration officers that in their mind, it is more important to satisfy the requirements of the Prime Minister, which is confirmation of persons who have, who are on the list. Because confirmation apparently is more important than registration of new electors, which is something protected by the law, where the law says that it should be a continuous process. In contravention of that law, the commission has apparently given instructions to their registration officers to set that aside and to stop registering new voters in order for them to concentrate on a confirmation process. So that will disenfranchise a number of young persons who would be turning 18 and would wish to register once they turn 18, as well as any other person who is qualified and wishes to register. And so it's pretty obvious that certain members of the commission are working on behalf of the Prime Minister and his agenda. And we, as Dominicans and as the electorate, need to wake up to that fact and put a stop to it. That's it.
It's 3 o'clock. Somebody says, man, the Dominican people are afraid to hit the streets because of what police are doing to us. It's reported to the necessary authorities. If you feel that you have that level of fear, the people need to be ready for change more than the opposition leaders themselves. The opposition can lead the way with the consciousness and involvement of the people and the affairs of the country is a very big deal. On that note, I'm going to say good afternoon to you. I'll be back tomorrow. It is Siwo Roman Fete. That's all they care about. Leave them in their doole, Papa. Somebody says it on WhatsApp or Facebook. So somebody saying in there, well, people should stop registering their babies at birth because you can't use your birth paper. Scary to have Dominicans under a spell. All they care about is Siwo. We'll be back tomorrow talking the block if God is willing. I'll be back on your radio. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Another repeat of the song we played earlier.
in defense of our country. We the people stand against oppression, corruption, nepotism, and mismanagement. We stand against your lack of respect for due process and the right to democratic equality. No apology will be accepted for betraying our trust. And with that, I sincerely apologize on behalf of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Oh God, we didn't vote for that. Still we democracy. No, don't divide our country and destroy we unity. No, they could run this country, fooling everybody. I say, well, we know what you back up in the church feet. Well, today you can't get away. No, we know what you meant. Why should we stay silent and not say one word? We must be defiant. Let our voices be heard. When I can't vote for that my country, I give the choice. Once again, for the country, hear my voice. Yeah, don't and still we democracy. No, don't divide our country and destroy we unity. No, put my country first. I do not suffer because of justice. No, no. Just 70 International rated us so low for underhanded killings you saw. Now the people say you must go. Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. No. You taking care of your family and all your friends, we say, well, people is people too. Still nothing coming, we wait. No. Contracts for the wealthy, nothing for the empty. Only storage for people like you and me. It's good for people, the science and them boys getting all. Nothing for poor people who voted for you at all. None at all. Look at that, and still we democracy. No, don't divide our country and destroy the unity. No, Section 34 was to settle us all. It has nothing to do with the poor who suffering forevermore. Tell me, no. Why did you let us see thousands of innocent black brothers taken up and sent to jail under your state of emergency? Tell me,